Live.
Are we live? Yay! We're live! Good morning, everyone. It is Saturday. It is kinda early. I promise I just didn't roll out of bed. I'm totally awake. Good morning, guys. It's Coach Summer here, General Manager of Firestorm Free Running and Acrobatics in Moreno Valley. As you can tell, we are not in the gym. We are actually at the lovely home of Coach Freelove and I, so welcome. Our living room is now in your living room through the screen, through the phone, through a TV. We did check in with the Allens and saw that I was on their TV in their living room. It's kind of strange, but super cool at the same time. If you are tuning in, please like, share, subscribe, comment that you're here. I know it's early and we're not really doing much, but we are going to get some AcroFlex ability today. So today we are going to be focusing on shoulders and upper back. But first we are going to get through some stretches. Some key things that I do have. Super simple, yoga mat. I might be using a foam roller later, but kind of telling how we feel. But we are going to walk things super slow today, get through all that mobility and stretch through our shoulders. We don't really stretch our shoulders as much as we should, and also our back as well. And if you are, cooped up in the house, you're not really spreading your wings as far as they could be, but we are going to make sure that you are feeling good this morning. Awesome. So we're going to start off with our neck circles, rolling our neck in one direction. Try and get our ear to our shoulder, the back of the neck to the back, chin all the way down to the chest, all in one direction. And we want to isolate our shoulders, make sure that we're not leaning forward with this. We're just moving our neck and our head, our upper body. Hi, Midna. We do have a couple of guests who will be roaming around. Our lovely Midna, and right behind me is Artemis. They haven't really seen me do things at home, so they are surprised at what a yoga mat is. Once your chin reaches your chest, you're going to roll into the opposite direction. If you're going clockwise, you're now going counterclockwise. If you're going to the right, you're now going to the left. Rolling all the way around. Feeling those creaks, get the blood moving, the body flowing. And once your chin reaches your chest, you're going to look straight ahead and you're going to look all the way up, lengthening your neck, pushing down your shoulders, and all the way down. A couple more times, all the way up, and all the way down. Hi, Artemis. And all the way up. All the way down. And last time, all the way up. And all the way down. We're going to look straight ahead. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to connect my right ear to my right shoulder. I'm going to just tilt my head to the side, nothing too much, and my opposite hand, so the opposite side of the shoulder and ear that is connecting, I'm going to push on an imaginary table all the way down. Lengthening that space between your opposite ear and the opposite shoulder. You should be feeling this through your arm as well. For a little added assistance, the same-sided hand and arm, you can gently place on the top of your head. You don't want to be pulling your head down, but you just want to apply slight pressure. The weight of your hand is enough. And pushing again that imaginary table, lengthening the distance between your left shoulder and your left ear. And slowly letting go of that table, rotating all the way up. And we're going to do our opposite side. So the left ear and the left shoulder are going to connect. That right hand is going to press on that imaginary table right next to you. Your left hand is going to apply slight pressure on the top. Nothing too crazy. readjusting, pushing down on that table. And beautiful. So straight from there, I'm going to let go of that pressure on the top of my head. I'm going to rotate my chin all the way to my chest so that my head is now facing down. I'm going to intertwine my fingers, so I'm going to wrap those fingers, and I'm going to place them on the base of my skull right above my neck. So I'm not pulling all the way down, it's just some added weight to get that stretch all the way through. And beautiful. So what we're going to do is we're going to space our feet hip width apart. We're going to have our toes facing completely forward. We don't want them outstretched right now, so just completely forward. What I'm going to do is the same thing that we did on Thursday. I'm going to go up and over, so my hands and my fingers are reaching towards the opposite walls. I'm going to lead with my left hand up above me, and my right hand is going to support on my leg. So left hand up, and we're going to be looking towards the ceiling, using my bottom arm to brace me so I don't completely collapse all the way down. And what I'm going to do is with this top hand, I'm going to grab an imaginary rope, and I'm going to pull it down to my side, reaching for that rope again, grabbing it, pulling onto your side. And we're going to do this 3 more times. My hand should be towards the ceiling, grabbing that rope and pulling it to our sides. Last time. I can feel them below me. Alright, and we're using that top arm to give us weight to come all the way up. We're going to face the direction that we just went over, and we're going to do that flat back on that same side. You should be feeling that stretch right in the inner part of that thigh. So flat back. If you were doing your hands on your back the last time, you can challenge yourself with having your hands in front of you. It does add a little bit extra balance and weight. So if we're on the behind part again, that is totally okay. And taking a deep breath, letting it go all the way down, grabbing that foot on that same side. And to deepen that stretch, we're going to bend forward the opposite leg, the leg that you are not reaching towards. You're just going to bend that forward, straightening out and dropping those hips to the side. Straightening out that knee, rotating towards the center, and just hanging out right here. Your legs should still be locked out, so no bend in your knees just yet. If your hands are all the way on the ground, flatten those hands. For an added stretch as well, you can reach back between your legs. But if not, we're just hanging out here in the center. Alright, bending those knees, I'm going to roll all the way up. The last thing up is going to be my head, rolling vertebrae by vertebrae to the last thing up is my head. Beautiful. We're going to do the other side now. Fingers reaching towards each opposite wall. My left hand is going to brace onto my left leg. My right arm is going to reach up and over. I'm going to be looking through my armpit, having my chest rotated up towards the ceiling, and grabbing that imaginary rope with my hand facing the ceiling. I'm going to grab the rope and pull it to my side. Grab the rope, pull it to my side. 3 more. Grabbing the rope, pulling to the side. And the last one. Beautiful. Using that top arm to bring you up to standing, facing the direction that we just went over, and flat back over to this side. Taking a deep breath all the way down, reaching for that bottom foot. And that opposite leg that you are not reaching towards is going to bend forward. Drop those hips, straighten out that leg. Ooh, that was my ankle. And straightening up. Rotate towards the center. If you have your hands flat on the ground, awesome. If you're right here, that is totally okay as well. What we're going to do is we're going to bend our knees forward and we're going to go into a squat, our hands in front of us. And then we're going to straighten out those legs, hips up. That should bring you a little bit further downwards, almost reaching the floor if you weren't already. If you are reaching the floor, you're just bracing your hands on the ground to bend those knees forward again to squat. And reaching those hips up. We're going to have a slight bend in the knee. We're going to roll up our back as well. Roll up vertebrae by vertebrae. Last thing up is going to be our head. Lovely. Awesome. We're going to warm up those shoulders a little bit more. I'm going to bring my feet a little bit closer to me. I'm going to grab my hands. And I'm going to start off with little circles going towards the camera or towards me. So I'm going to make little circles with the middle of my fingers, just going forward, small little circles. Small as you can, quick little circles. And then I'm slowly going to make those circles a little bit bigger, probably about the size of a handball. A little dodgeball, a little foam ball. An itch on my face, I'm going to scratch that. And rotating them forward still. We haven't changed directions, we just changed the size. And we're going to make them even bigger. It's about the size of a giant yoga ball. Rotating those forwards. About the size of a giant yoga ball. And now we're going to make them as big as we can. Fingers should be going towards the ground and up towards the ceiling. Oh, Artemis. They've never really seen my yoga mat rolled out, so they're confused on why this is here. All right, once you find a good stopping position, you're going to reverse that. So we're going forwards, so now we're going to go backwards. We're going to start off with those big circles, going backwards. It is okay if you are hearing crunching in those shoulders. If you need to take it slow, just like I have, more than welcome to. Slow is always good with warming up just because it makes sure that you hit all of those points. When we rush through things, sometimes we can, not do it correctly, or we miss a key point in mobilizing and warming up. And then we're going to make them a little bit smaller. My shoulders are very tired. So remember, we are going backwards now. We are going forwards, or if you're going backwards the first time, you're going forwards now. And then we're going to make those slightly smaller, about the size of a dodgeball. And then we're going to make them little, going backwards, and shake them out. Oh my goodness. I can definitely feel that up here in my upper back or my traps. My shoulders are super warm. I'm starting to sweat already. So last thing while we're standing, we are going to bring our arms together and we're going to cross them in front of us. I'm going to act like I'm grabbing something with either of my hands and I'm going to pull. So my elbows come back a little, but my hands are lined up. And then I'm going to bring it back to elbows. I'm going to pull again. And then on my last pull, I'm going to throw my arms back. So again, what that is I'm going to have flat hands. I'm pulling till my hands are on top of each other, back to elbows, pull again to hands, back to elbows, and then I'm going to be throwing it away. Right now my left hand is on top. So what that looks like in a more fast-paced visual is pull, pull, throw. Pull, pull, throw. Pull, pull, throw. And we're just going to repeat that. Remember, we're not going too far where we're stopping our shoulders from coming back. Our hands are just lining up. So 2 pulls and a throw. My hands are coming behind me. 2 pulls and a throw. So my left arm was on top. I'm going to now switch it to the right arm on top. 2 pulls and a throw. Couple more. Beautiful. All right, so before we start to lay down on the mat, we are going to grab a quick drink of water. Keeping hydrated while deep stretching is a very good thing, especially with afters. While keep drinking water, flushing everything out. We want to stay hydrated as much as possible. We do tend to forget to drink water. Even juice, we do want to remember to come back to water. Our body is made up mostly of water, not of juice. So I've been told.
That's correct.
All right, let's go grab a drink of water, guys. Not made of juice.
Oh, unfortunately, the reality is
Darn. Okie dokie. Artemis is now apparently leading AcroFlex. Yeah? No. Not cut out for the job. Alright, so we are going to come down to we're going to be lying down on the floor, face down, but I'm going to explain things in a little bit more of what makes sense. Again, we are going to be stretching out our shoulders and our chest area with this. I have my yoga mat just because it gives me a line to follow. I'm going to be connecting my shoulder and my arm, making sure that it's in a straight line. That being said, if you don't have a yoga mat at home, if you need to line it up with the floorboards, I have carpet. If you can draw a line in the carpet, that's always going to help. Or if you have a ruler or anything flat and straight, it's going to help. So I'm going to come all the way down onto my tummy, and I'm going to find that edge of the yoga mat. So I'm going to line up my middle finger and my shoulder to line up with the edge of the mat. So my right arm is out currently. So my right arm is going to be straight out, lining up with that edge of the mat. I'm going to use my left hand right underneath my shoulder, and my left leg is going to be doing all of the work. So my left leg is going to come up, and my foot is going to try and go into my hand or towards that side of my body. So my left leg is going to come over. My back just cracked, so if yours did, good morning. So my left hand is bracing right here. My left leg is now more towards my right arm. This should be stretching out my shoulder and a little bit of my chest as well. If you need a deeper stretch, you can use that hand that's on the ground to give you a little bit extra of a push. You can also try and straighten and flatten out your hips onto the other side. So if you can see, my hips are almost all the way down on this side. You might be better at another side. You also probably haven't done this stretch in a while, so it's okay if it's also your first time. And we're going to just take some deep breaths over here. We don't want to be laying our head down just because we're not engaging everything. We want to have our head nice and supported. Are you nipping at my socks? Last couple breaths here. And then I'm going to lead my left leg to bring me back. So I am lying flat. Awesome. So we're going to do the other side. So I'm going to outstretch my left arm. I'm going to line it up with the edge of my mat, my middle finger, and my arm. My right arm is underneath my shoulder. My right leg is now going to go towards the left side of my body. So I'm going to pick it up and move it all the way over. If you're over here and the weight of your leg is giving you a stretch, that is totally okay. I've been doing this stretch for a while, so I have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to my shoulders in this way. Using my bottom hand or my right hand to support me. This is not my good side, so I can't get my hips all the way flat on the ground. And bringing that top leg down to my stomach. And beautiful. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of a stretch here before I go back into a variation of that stretch. So I'm going to have my hands right underneath my shoulders. I'm not going to have my elbows out, but I'm going to keep them tucked at my sides. I'm going to roll my shoulders back and press up with my hands. So my legs are right behind me, outstretched. I'm only here for a little bit, so nothing too crazy. I believe we call this a seal stretch, but from a couple of our coaches, it's not the correct animal that does this stretch.
Sea lion.
Sea lion, sorry, there we go. Sea lion stretch. Alright, and slowly coming down, we're going to keep those elbows tucked into us. We're not going to slam our face on the ground, that's not a fun time. And all the way down. Awesome. So I'm going to outstretch that right arm again, lining up that shoulder. But what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to bend at my elbow. So it's going to come into almost like a stop sign, where my right arm is in a 90-degree angle. I'm going to make sure that at least my elbow and my shoulder are aligned now that my hand is not there. So 90-degree angle with this. My left hand is underneath my shoulder. I'm going to use my left leg to come up and bring me over. There it is. You should feel a little bit deeper of a stretch with this. Probably less flexibility. Just because it tends to be a little bit tighter. If you can see that my legs aren't all the way on the ground, I am feeling this stretch. Couple breaths here. And slowly bring that leg back so you are laying flat. And outstretch that arm. Bring that arm right underneath your shoulder blade and outstretch the left arm. Same thing with the left side. We are going to make that 90-degree angle with that left arm. We're going to have our elbow and our shoulder on the mat. My right hand is underneath my right shoulder. My right foot is going to lead the way and bring over that stretch. Ooh. Couple breaths here. Using that bottom hand if needed to support your upper body. And coming back to the center, all the way down. And I'm going to come back up onto my knees. So there are variations for this stretch as well. You can actually do it against a bare wall. Why I like to do it on the ground is just because it gives me that visual of having my arm completely straight. If I'm up against the wall, I can't really from my angle see what is a straight arm and what is not. Using the wall as well is I can kind of have a little bit less of my weight on it, so I can only apply a little bit of pressure with me stretching the shoulders and making this a common thing. I do need a little bit of my body weight to help me out with that. So, beautiful. How are we feeling? Good morning. All right, so we are going to come right onto our mats again. We are actually going to come to a lying down position. Um, we're going to come all the way down so our feet are underneath us. We're not all the way flat as of yet, but we kind of just want to take a couple deep breaths here.
Really expanding the size of the body when you breathe in allows for three-dimensional breathing, which sounds strange because you would think all breathing is 3D. But you really want to try and breathe in and open the size of the body with those breaths.
Beautiful. All right, so bringing our legs now to completely flat. The reason why I like having my feet up when I'm breathing is because I have this small pocket or a small little gap that happens between my spine and the floor when my legs are already flat. When I have my feet up in this kind of lifted position, it makes sure that gap is not there anymore, so I'm not arching my back. So if you don't have this, you can definitely take your breaths from a flat position. If you also want to expand your breathing into your back as well, you can have it where you take a deep breath and you fill that gap. That being said, that is a little bit more advanced, so I like having my feet up so I can just feel my breath coming out this way, not having to focus on my back. That being said, we are going to come all the way lying down flat, and we are going to bring our leg into our chest. So what this is going to be giving me a little bit of a hip stretch, but it's also going to be stretching out my low back in just a sec. So I have my right leg lifted with me. I have my hands right on my shins. I'm actually going to roll out my ankle right here. That is not my ankle, that is Artemis, but my ankle is just as loud. And rolling out in one direction, and rolling out in our opposite direction. What I'm going to do is I'm going to point that foot out. I'm going to bring this leg across my body. So it's on my right side. I'm going to use my left hand on the outside of my knee and my right hand on the ground. I'm going to pull my leg across my body, and my hips and my shoulders, or my left hip is going to connect to the ground. My right hip is going to lift, and my shoulders are going to stay on the ground. With your weight coming over, you'll want to bring that shoulder up, but to really get that back stretch, you want to keep those shoulders on the ground. Oh, I just felt my back decompress. That was lovely. I'm using my body weight on this. I don't want to apply any extra pressure that I don't need to. So if that means you're just right here, that is totally okay. You can use your hand to give you that extra guidance if necessary. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up that leg. So I'm going to put my foot is actually on the inside of my leg. It's going to now rest on top of that opposite leg, and I'm going to open up. So my legs look like a 4 right now. My right leg is on top, my left leg is on the bottom. What I can do is 2 different variations. I can either have this bottom leg come up with it still straight, or I can have it bent at the knee. That being said, you want to make sure your foot is right above that knee. So when I do bring it up, having that straight leg, I can either grab onto that straight leg, or I can go through my thighs and I can grab it behind my thigh at my bent leg. You should feel this stretch right behind your right quad and your right hip. Bringing that knee close to your chest. If you want to try the variation of having the straight leg and the bent leg, you can definitely tell that you're also getting a stretch in that straight leg when it's straightened. Alright, beautiful. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my legs. So my right leg was what I started with. So I'm now going to untangle this mess, and I'm going to grab my left leg. Same thing where I have my fingers intertwined right on the front of my shin, and I'm going to roll out that left ankle in one direction. opposite direction. And same thing, I'm going to leave my left hand on the ground. My right hand is going to come to the outside of that knee, and I'm going to guide it on over to the right side of my body, keeping both shoulders on the ground. My left hip is going to come up and my right hip is going to turn over. Take a couple deep breaths. You'll realize probably with each breath it does get a little bit deeper in your stretch. Your body's getting used to being in this position. Your low back should have popped by now. And beautiful. I'm going to open up that knee. So that 4 is going to happen again. My left leg is on top. My right leg is on the bottom. And same thing if I'm going to bring that bottom leg up either straight or bent. I'm going to bring it up straight for right now, for example. I'm coming in between my thighs, grabbing behind my thigh, and pulling that leg closer to me. Obviously, I can't pull it because my opposite leg is in between us, but it is giving us a stretch in that hip and that thigh as well. If I bend my leg, that does give me a little bit of a deeper stretch. I could feel the pressure on my leg a little bit more. And straightening out. Just feeling how my body's waking up today. Beautiful. And undoing that, I'm actually going to flip over onto my stomach. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually keep my right leg bent. I'm going to keep my left leg straight. My right bent leg is going to point at the foot, and it's actually going to help me turn over. So I'll be turning over to my left side, coming onto my stomach. So my hands are going to be right underneath my shoulder blades. We did this in between our over the body shoulder stretches. I'm going to rotate my shoulders back, and I'm going to press up with my hands. So I'm going into this sea lion stretch. I'm going to relax my legs and my booty and my feet. If you feel like you're pointing through your legs, you're going to feel that everything is tightened up. So go from a point and then go into a relax. You're going to definitely feel that, oh, maybe I was a little tense, maybe I wasn't relaxing. And you're going to push through your arms, so you're going to feel that your chest is no longer kind of just sitting in it. If you can see, there is a definite difference of when I'm engaging my arms and when I'm not engaging my arms. So what we want to do is engage those arms all the way up. And we want to look straight ahead. So you're going to feel this stretch almost in your stomach area as well, but through your back. And then we're going to follow the ceiling all the way to the top. So we're going to be right here. Couple breaths. Remember to keep those arms engaged. I do tend to start to let go and loosen, and I have to remind myself to engage through my arms. And looking straight ahead, what I'm going to do to give myself a little bit extra stretch is I'm going to look towards my left foot. Not all the way to my left foot, but just looking towards it. And then I'm going to look straight ahead. Make sure you're engaging through your arms. Gives you a little bit of an arm workout as well. And then I'm going to look towards my right foot. So looking towards that right foot. And straightening out. Now I'm going to push back into a child's pose. So I'm going to push through my hands. I'm going to set my hips back. And then I'm going to come all the way down. My knees are on opposite sides of my torso. So if you're all the way flat in this child's pose, you can go up onto your fingertips. We did this on Thursday. So up onto your fingertips if you need a little bit added of a stretch. And then what I'm going to do is with us on our tippy fingertips, if you're on your flat hands, you're going to give yourself a little bit of space. I usually tend to go on the top of my fingertips so that there is a space in between me and the ground. I'm going to grab my right arm and I'm going to thread it underneath my body. So underneath this hole we've just created, and you're just going to rest on that. That gives you a little bit of an extra stretch in your right arm and your right shoulder. And bringing that arm back through. I'm going to do the same thing with my left side now. So my right arm is going to be on the ground. My left is going to come and thread underneath my body into that extra stretch. And bringing that left hand back into your child's pose, up on your fingertips. And I'm going to come back up into a seated position, taking a deep breath. All right, beautiful. So I'm going to be going into some shoulder stretches. I'm going to be in crisscross applesauce. So I'm actually going to turn around just so you can see what's going on my back. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking our left arm. We're going to have our fingers spread pretty wide, just so the longest, it's going to be longer between your pinky finger and your thumb finger. I'm going to have that with my palm facing behind me. So the top of my hand is in front of me, palm is behind me. I'm going to spread those fingers out, and I'm going to bend at the elbow, and my pinky finger and my thumb are going to find my spine. So it's going to be straight up and down, finding that spine. I'm going to have this little bit of a chicken wing almost that's going to be out. My opposite arm is going to come across my body, and I'm going to grab that elbow or that arm. I'm not going to yank it. I'm just going to be holding it, applying slight pressure. And we're just going to hang out here for a little bit. And then slowly I'm going to undo that right arm from grabbing a hold. I'm going to place it down. My arm behind me is going to undo, straighten out, and come to the ground. And I'm going to do the same on my right side. So that right arm is going to come out, fingers outstretched wide, pinky finger and thumb finger are going to be the longest points in between my hand. Bending at the elbow, finding my spine. That opposite hand, which is my left hand, is going to come across my chest and grabbing onto my arm. Not fully pulling it across my body, but just grabbing enough pressure. And undoing that arm, placing it down, and my right arm is going to come back to the ground. We're going to repeat that as well. So we're going to go back to the left arm, straighten out those fingers, bending at the elbow, finding that spine with your thumb and your pinky. Your right arm is petting the cat and grabbing a hold of that opposite arm. And hooking that arm. Right hand places down, left hand arm unbends behind you. And we're going to do the same with that opposite arm. So right hand is going to stretch out. Your palm is facing towards your back. Bending at that arm, finding that pinky and that thumb spine right there. That opposite arm is going to grab the right arm. Slight pressure. And slowly undoing that as well. And one last move before we go and get a drink of water. I'm going to start more towards the center to end of my mat. I'm going to have my knees close to me. Behind me, I'm going to be placing my arms. So right behind my shoulders, if I need to stretch out a little bit, I'm going to be pushing through my chest. So I'm going to have my chest up. It's not going to have our shoulders in front of us, but actually our shoulders stretch behind us. And we're going to try and have our pinkies touch behind us. If you're already touching your pinkies already here, what you can do to challenge yourself is actually go a little bit lower and more deeper into the stretch. To add a little bit extra, in case you are extra, you could straighten out those legs. And you can actually lift those legs a little bit as well to engage those abs. Alright, and slowly coming up, so I'm going to bringing my knees back up to my chest. I'm going to bring my arms around my knees and kind of reversing that stretch that we just did. Alright, beautiful. Let's grab a drink of water and we'll come back to the mat. Cool. Calm now. Alright, welcome back, friends. Alright, so last couple cool down stretches / workout. We're going to get you a little bit more mobilized up in your shoulders. If anything, you should be feeling really loosey-goosey and feeling good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with my my legs a little bit farther than hip distance apart. What I'm going to be doing is the same thing kind of like we did yesterday, where we had our arms reach straight out and we're going to be coming up and over. So with this, we did our little bit of our pull down stretches over here. But what I'm going to be doing now is I'm just going to be doing little pulses to give ourselves a little bit extra of a stretch. So those pulses are small movements. They're not gigantic movements. We're just doing little, almost like an inch. You're drawing an inch of your finger on the wall. Little pulses here should be deepening your stretch off to the side. Looking through your armpit. Little pulses. And coming up. So what my bottom arm is doing is making sure that I don't completely fall over onto one side. As you guys can see, I'm very flexy on my sides, but I don't want to be completely hunched over to where I'm not going to be getting a stretch anymore or my body's not going to feel myself working. You can be too flexible to feel a movement, so having that bottom arm supporting me is going to have me so I'm still getting my conditioning and still getting that active flexion in there. So with my bottom arm is now on my left side, my right arm is going to come up to the top because we have to do both sides, and small little pulses here Nothing too crazy. Looking through my armpit, opening up my chest. And slowly coming all the way back up. I'm going to go do the same thing forwards now, but with both of my arms stretched out to the side. So I'm going to be having a flat back when it comes to this. My legs are going to be outstretched out. So flat back, straight over. And I'm going to be almost like I'm still pulsing, but I'm bringing my shoulder blades back to touch each other real quick. So less of it being in front of you, but more being it behind and pulling those shoulder blades together.
Oh, we're back to me. This is not what you wanted, and I'm sorry, everyone.
Did you flip it?
I flipped it now.
You flipped it now. All right. Back to our regularly scheduled broadcasting. We get free love on Monday at 3 o'clock with Parkour. He is currently manning the camera right now. Sorry for our slight delay, but we should have finished up those. That is a lot of work in our shoulders, so we're going to do a little bit of some cool down a little bit. What we're going to be doing is bringing our feet and our knees together. We are going to be having our hands at our side. We're going to be going through a little bit of a circuit. So what that is we're going to be doing a bunch of different movements. I'm going to break it slowly down one by one. So having your hands at your side, you're going to bring those arms all the way up. So it is straight. You're going to be squatting down, bending those knees, having those arms in front of you, having your shoulders pressed down. So you're going to be in this awkward, like, seated position for a little bit. And then what you're going to do is you're going to turn your hands to the floor. You're going to have your hands touch the floor. You're going to come back into your push-up position. And you're going to do a push-up towards the ground, but we're not going to be going straight back up into it. So we're just slowly guiding our bodies down to the ground. And then hands underneath our shoulders. We're going to push up into our sea lion stretch. Elbows are still close to us. So slowly again lowering to our sides. And then we're going to push ourselves back into a child's pose. So those knees are on either side, hands out in front of you. And what we're going to do is we're going to roll up so we're back on all fours, so hands and knees. We're going to straighten up our legs, so we're in downward dog. And we're going to walk our hands back to our feet, bending those knees, rolling all the way up. So the last thing up is going to be our head. So starting again. If you have to recenter yourself, that's okay as well. So hands towards your thighs, coming all the way up, coming into a squat position in front of you, hands turn to the floor, hands come to the floor, into your push-up position, elbows staying tucked into your sides, going to come all the way down, pushing back into your child's pose. Rounding your spine so you're on all fours. Pushing your toes underneath you and stretching out those legs so you're in your downward dog. Walking those hands back to your feet. Bending those knees to roll all the way up. We're going to do those 2 more times. Finding your center again. Hands to your thighs. Coming all the way around, reaching up towards the sky. Going into your squat position. Rotating those hands to the ground. Hands come to the ground. Push-up position. Elbows staying towards your sides, lowering yourself to the ground, pushing back into child's pose, rounding your spine onto all fours, having your toes tucked underneath you, push up into downward dog, walk those hands all the way back, bending those knees to roll all the way up. And last time. So finding our center one last time, hands to the side, coming all the way up, squatting to our hands are in front of us, rotate those hands down, hands coming down, into your push-up position, elbows staying tucked to your sides, all the way down, push back into a child's pose, round the spine, toes tucked underneath, pushing into a downward dog, hands walking all the way back, bending those knees, rolling all the way up. Beautiful, guys. Should have gotten your blood moving a little bit using a little bit of all of these stretches that we have done today. We are going to do some cool down stretches just so we can have our heart rate return back to normal. So we're going to come into our crisscross applesauce. We're going to have our hands on our knees. Coach Relove talked about 3D breathing. So with this, you're going to have your shoulders down, and we're going to fill our diaphragm and our lungs all with air. If it helps you to have your hand on your upper stomach / right below your sternum, you can definitely do that. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. In through your nose, out through your mouth. You doing it too? No? Okay. Beautiful. Having our hands return back to our knees, I'm going to roll my head into one direction. I'm going to make another rotation. And once my chin reaches my chest, I'm going to return to the opposite rotation. I'm going to do one more revolution. And my chin returning to my chest. Beautiful. I'm going to place my right hand onto the mat right next to me with my fingers facing the wall. That left arm is going to come up and over, and my elbow is going to rest on the wall as well. Have a good side stretch right here. And coming up and over, I'm going to do the same thing with the opposite side. My left hand is now on the ground. My right hand is reaching over. And straightening up. I'm going to bring my feet and my legs into a butterfly stretch. So my heels are going to be closer towards me. I'm grabbing onto my ankles or my toes, and I'm just going to be flapping out those knees. And now I'm going to bring those feet ever so slightly out so I make almost a diamond or a square with my legs. I'm going to be grabbing onto my ankles. My elbows are going to be following my legs all the way up into my knees. And I'm going to be leaning over with a flat back. So if I'm over right here, that's totally okay. I don't want to be leaning in towards my head, towards the middle of my legs. I want to have a flat back, almost like I'm having my chest and my torso cover this box that I just made. coming up, having my legs pointed out in front of me. I'm going to grab my right arm. I'm going to have it across my chest, and my left arm is going to apply slight pressure. Remember, I'm not having my chin or my arm touch. I'm having a space in between there and having my posture with sitting straight up. And I'm going to be doing towards the same for the other side. So left hand is now across my body and my right arm is giving that slight pressure. Alright, and slowly coming together, my fingers are going to be intertwined. I'm going to roll out my wrists in one direction. My wrists are cracking as well. And if you can figure it out, roll it to the other direction. This one took me a while to understand what the other direction is. But I'm following my thumbs in almost a counterclockwise or a clockwise position. Alright, and I'm going to be shaking out my hands, shaking out my body, shaking out my legs. And that pretty much wraps it up for this morning. Alright, so we are taking tomorrow off. Tomorrow is Sunday, but you guys will be joining us back here hopefully on Monday at 3 o'clock with Coach Freelove. He's going to be doing another parkour lesson and another Ask Me Anything or Ask Coach Freelove Anything after the 3 o'clock live stream. So that does start at 4 o'clock. Come prepared with questions, have answers from Coach Freelove. He'll put us through a pretty good workout. Other than that, I hope you guys have a beautiful Saturday and a lovely Sunday. If you would like, please comment, share, subscribe, tag us along on your journey on Instagram or Facebook. We love seeing our families. Super awesome shout out to the Dobson family and the Allen family for following us along. We also have the Colmers join us as well. We can't wait to see you guys back at the gym and back into the regularly scheduled classes and open gyms. We still haven't had word yet on anything as of yet, but please stay safe, guys. Stay hydrated. Eat your vegetables. All that fun stuff. Bye, guys.